Much more on that breaking news this morning, the death of Prince Philip. The husband of Queen Elizabeth passed away at the age of 99 after a series of health issues. Amy Robach is here with more on his royal legacy. Good morning, Amy.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Yes, a short time ago, the death announcement carried out to the gates of Buckingham Palace. Philip and Elizabeth were married nearly 74 years, making him the longest-serving spouse of a British monarch in history. The Duke of Edinburgh retired from royal duties back in 2017, but here is much more on the beloved figure.
For over 73 years, he stood by his queen's side, her most loyal and faithful subject. Prince Philip of Greece was an 18-year-old cadet in the British Royal Navy when a 13-year-old Princess Elizabeth first took a shine to him back in 1939.
I, Elizabeth Alexander Mary.
The two were married in November of 1947. 5 years later, Elizabeth ascended to the throne, and Philip gave up his career to support his queen in her duty.
My grandfather was, had a very successful career in the military or in the Navy. He gave it all up to do his job and to be there to support the Queen.
It was Philip, apparently, who encouraged the Queen to make that famous speech celebrating Diana after grieving Britons had accused her of being too stoic, too aloof, and too royal.
In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness.
At all times forced to walk 2 steps behind Elizabeth, but in life they were equal partners. They had 4 children and a loving, enduring marriage.
It must have been quite difficult for him being in the sort of shadows and being the support, but he does it fantastically well. He's never complained.
And it's obvious from all of us, and it should be obvious to everybody else that sees it going on, is the fact that without him, you know, she would be slightly lost, I think.
Philip's role as the man behind the throne did not go unnoticed. The Queen herself even spoke of it on their 50th wedding anniversary in 1997.
All too often, I fear Prince Philip has had to listen to me speaking. He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years. And I and his whole family owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim, or we shall ever know.
And British Prime Minister Boris Johnson spoke just moments ago. Let's take a listen.
Prince Philip earned the affection of generations here in the United Kingdom, across the Commonwealth, and around the world.
So many people, of course, and tributes are pouring in for the Prince. George.
Cami, thanks. Let's bring in our royal contributors, Victoria Murphy and Alistair Bruce. Thank you both for joining us right now. And Alistair, let's begin with you and just your thoughts on the impact that Prince William has had on the monarchy, on Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, it's been immense. I think ever since the Queen fell madly in love with him, way back almost in her youth, and then married him in 1947, as was said in your package just then, there has been nothing short of a complete emanation in him. And he just has that capacity to go on and on and on, supporting the Queen in everything that she does. And to lose him today will be very, very sad for the Queen, but she is of an age where she will understand that death is a part of life, and that at the end of what must be one of the most remarkable lives, with the service in the Second World War, with the energetic, almost revolutionary attitude to how the monarchy should change throughout his time as husband of the Queen, and now leaving her in the very later stages of her reign with a tremendous legacy, hugely linked in to his wisdom, determination, wit, and energy.
Victoria Murphy, they did indeed modernize the monarchy.
I think that's absolutely true, and I think it's really important to say that, you know, Prince Philip and the Queen, you know, in their 90s, but very much, I think, beloved across the generations, and we really saw that. And yeah, I mean, Philip was actually the first member of the royal family to give a television interview. He did so in 1961. He was very involved with modernising and understanding that in order to remain relevant, it's very important for the monarchy to modernise, and he was really by the Queen side as she presided over so many changes. And I think, that will probably be the saddest thing now, because they have very much been absolutely a double act for more than 73 years. That's how long their marriage was. And he was very, very active and very, very hard at work up until just a few years ago when he retired. And so I think seeing the Queen cutting a lonely figure will be one of the most poignant things about this for many people.
Alistair, was it ever difficult for him to have to walk those 2 steps behind?
Not at all, no. He was always aware that when he married the Queen, that she was going to be sovereign of not only the United Kingdom, but many other nations around the world, not least Canada. And that in order to support her, he had to recognize that she was the focus for everybody as Queen. And he was born into the Greek royal family, obviously at a very difficult time in world history, but he just understood, because he'd been brought up as a member of a royal family, that in royal families, the only person who matters is the monarch. Everybody else is there to support the monarch in the work that is done. And with the Queen's work, Prince Philip has absolutely supported it to a T in every respect. And she'll miss him like mad. But as I say, they are of an age. And whilst the United Kingdom and many others were looking forward to his 100th birthday in June, I'm absolutely certain Prince Philip wasn't.
You say, Alistair, that she was madly in love with him. Victoria, talk about that love story.
Oh, I mean, it is an incredible love story and a real love match. And when you think of the monarchy going back through the centuries, often, they weren't love matches. They were arranged marriages, but this was very much a love match. The Queen, when she was Princess Elizabeth, met him, fell in love with him when she was very young. They were exchanging letters, and then they were engaged and married in 1947. And she, according to her cousin, she never looked at anyone else. And really that has been, an enduring love match that we have seen through the years, and we've seen them go on to have 4 children, 8 grandchildren, many great grandchildren. That number is still growing, and what an incredible kind of family really that they have been.
And Alistair, Amy said in her piece how Prince Philip convinced the Queen to give that speech after the death of Princess Diana. Talk about his relationship with his grandsons William and Harry.
Well, I think that he was always there as a great template of service, and of military service at that. He was, I think in his own way, pretty cool. He had been very dashing as a young man, and I think that's why the Queen was so madly in love with him, right the way through her life with him. And I think that that template of example has always been available to all his grandchildren, but not least Prince William, who will one day be king, and also Prince Harry, who has a tougher role to perform because the direction of his role is very different. And I think that Prince Philip has seen in his own children and grandchildren that, it's very tough to be in this figurehead position when there are individual journeys to be followed and aspirations to be reached. And Prince Philip has recognized that he had to set aside his own naval tradition and career in order to be those few steps behind the Queen in her achievement as sovereign for such a long reign.
Victoria, ups and downs over the course of 74 years. Prince Philip had to become something of a crisis manager as well.
Well, that's true, yes. I mean, very much head of the family, although he didn't have the top job, as we know. But he did, very much lead the family through a lot of those challenges and those ups and downs, as you say, one of the most challenging moments for them, the death of Princess Diana. They really all needed to stay strong together. And there is, of course, that famous, we understand that what happened was that Prince Philip said to William and Harry when they were going to make a decision about walking behind their mother's coffin, I'll walk if you walk. And that is something that is continually attributed to him, that is said, that was said. And I think, very much, that the head of the family staying strong for the family, often a figure who other family members would go to for advice and seek counsel from, very much understanding, the position of being in the spotlight, being thrust into the spotlight and having all of those responsibilities placed on you.
Alistair, what was the greatest crisis they faced as a family?
Well, I think it's no different from any family. There are always challenges. I think that for Prince Philip, the purpose of his role was to make sure that whatever the challenges were, not least the fact that for the Queen, as head of state of many nations, while the world is going through a pandemic, that puts huge pressure. And I think one forgets that, because family issues are one thing, But just imagine, you see, in the coronation service, the Queen was married to her role as sovereign. And so he had to be the broker of that marriage, of a head of state to a nation throughout her lifetime. And I think when you imagine all the times in which the United Kingdom had to go in military campaigns around the world, Suez, out in the Falkland Islands or Afghanistan, and all the news that came back to the Queen of young lives lost fighting in her name, which is what is done, it must have put great pressure on her. But he always had a great wit, a great charm, a directness. And I think that that helped her because he was the only person who was able to tease her and slightly mob her up and help her through the difficult times.
Important perspective. Alistair Bruce, Victoria Murphy, thanks very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.